This meeting is being recorded, the cloud tells me. What's up, Stitt-Heads? We are back in it. And the word of the day today is hypocrisy, because what's good for the goose, good for the gander, good for the Republican, good for the Democrat. Everybody's arguing about the same old tired bullshit that the last administration did or the two administrations did back, blah, 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 blah. So, regardless, everybody loves their guy until the other guy comes into office and nobody really has any real talking point. It's all whataboutisms. So I'm going to have a little fun episode today. One of my earliest guests and one of my longtime friends, Mr. Tom Green, my drummer in my band One Night Stand, is joining us again on Talking Stitt. Been way too long. And I don't know, there's a lot of things going up, bills going up, prices going up, energy consumption going up, and a lot of things. So I don't know, dude. Welcome back. Where do you want to start?
Well, we had a conversation just the other day about what do we want to talk about. There's so much to talk about in the conspiracy theory world, what's going on right now, and how does it all make sense. And then I got my notes together because I want to touch on some religion and some other things I'd put together. And then waiting on this call, I get on Instagram, and it's just some of these people I follow. It's like energy crisis, and then it's the oil crisis. That's the Straits of Hormuz. And I'm like going, oh my God, they're setting the narrative already. So I was trying to digest all this as quick as I could, and which is crazy because you get these people talking about our next big lockdown, and they're talking about the energy crisis. What they're doing is they're going to start having people start limiting their energy consumption. Basically, if you're not going to work, cut back on your travel. They're cutting back on flights. Like American Airlines just reduced 5% of their flights to cut down on energy costs. And I'm like going, oh shit, what does this really mean? So they're preparing us for this cut back on energy. Like they're going to try to get more people to work from home, not drive as much, not use as much oil, obviously. And so all this stuff to cut back on energy is because of this fucking war we're in that we don't need to be in. And Trump, and I guess today's Sunday the 22nd, and I guess Monday the 23rd, he gave Iran an ultimatum. You either open up those Straits of Hormuz or we're going to start bombing all your infrastructure. And they're like, well, we're going to bomb all yours. So
Yeah.
basically, they're saying, you know what? We call your bluff, and we don't give a damn. So you know what? You shoot at us, we're just going to shoot right back. And apparently they have stockpiled the hell out of missiles that we can't compete with. So I feel like what's getting ready to happen is we're going to go through another freaking, I don't know. They're saying the word lockdown. I don't think it's going to be a lockdown. I think it's going to be more of a, they're going to basically control our consumption through our license plate, our house meters. I mean, what kind of bullshit is this? You know what I mean? Like now we can't even have control over how much energy we use.
They've been trying to do that for a while anyways. And if you look at
Yeah.
states like California and things,
Oh,
every
jeez.
summer they always try to do these recommendations of set your thermostat to this or blah blah blah.
Because of the power grids, they can't
And the
handle
thing
it.
is they try to give you the like illusion of choice where they tell you like, oh, okay, well, we'll
Yeah.
let you do that because it makes you feel good. But then when you find out, hey, not enough people are really doing that, so we got to actually enforce it this time. It's a frog in boiling
Yeah.
pot kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, for years they were saying, well, it's the power grid can't keep up with the consumption, right? That's what you'd hear in California, which Gavin Newsom wrecked the holy fuck out of California. If that guy runs for president and he even has a spitting chance, that'll just show me how stupid Americans are. Because it when he came in office, they had a surplus of money. Now they're in a deficit. I mean, so you want that guy in office? Like that guy is the worst. So I mean, yeah, I can see in some instances where, power consumption goes up and it puts a task on the power grids, but aren't they supposed to up the power grids as time goes on to prepare for more people and get more
Mm-hmm.
power grids and available? And I don't buy that bullshit. At this point, Derek, I think you and I talk a lot about this stuff. In the past, we could have believed it like, oh, sure, that sounds good, right? Now we're like, dude, they're just bullshitting us. They always bullshit us.
Think about with the power grids and things changing and everything anyways, the idea of like during COVID and 2020 lockdown, like you mentioned, like the OG lockdown, I guess, you had the rollout of 5G, and then that
Yeah.
gets into all kinds of other conspiracies with like sickness and things like that, just like back in the 30s and shit. But regardless, so with that, you roll in 5G, and then we also, like, say Ted Cruz in Texas, if a couple of years back when we had that big snowstorm and the infrastructure couldn't keep up with it down there.
Yeah.
California can't keep up with their infrastructure, but now AI is the new technology they're rolling out crazy and hardcore. So if we can't even keep up with the people, it's almost like they don't care about the people anymore. They're going to care about the technology itself, because they're going to do what they can for these data centers, but they're not going to do it for the actual people.
They never have done anything for the betterment of people, because look, as much money as they have laundered, misappropriated, lost, you name it, they could have fixed all these power infrastructures, But when you look at right before 9/11, remember when Donald Rumsfeld comes out and like, the Pentagon lost $3 trillion. All of a sudden, bombs everywhere. Like, oh my God, like that was the biggest cover up. Like they literally can't pass an audit. And
The
you're
day
going,
before,
well,
yeah.
yeah. So that all that money goes to all those cities they're building underneath the earth. I mean, that's what they're doing. They're building their. I don't know. I wouldn't want to live in one. I think if your plan is that hell goes the handbasket on top, I don't want to live underneath the dirt. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen those cities on all these videos, and like, I don't want to live underneath that shit.
Or even just
But
predictive programming. Like, I don't know if you ever watched the TV show Fallout. I
yeah,
watched the first season. I haven't seen any of the others. But yeah, it's that same idea. It's like, oh, wow, that's crazy. Sci-fi is crazy. Remember 30 years ago when sci-fi like Terminator was crazy? Remember 35 years ago when They Live was crazy? And now it's reality. 25 years ago, Minority Report was crazy. And now everything's
yeah,
algorithms and eye scans. They show you this shit way ahead of time. So it's like this bunker idea. It's like, oh wow, what's gonna happen? Nuclear fallout, man. That's a don't want to be around in the future. Guess what? The future is now, old man.
yeah, yeah. Well, and the thing too, because I've talked to my wife a lot about this. So remember when they were having the nuclear fallouts in the 50s, and all these people were building these bomb shelters in their backyard. They'd dig out their yard and they'd build bomb shelters, and in case there was a nuclear strike with the Cold War. Well, then and the problem is that never happened. They literally scared the shit out of people to the point where they were spending money and building out safety traps in their backyard. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, well, the logic was, would you want to live after a nuclear fallout? Everything is toast. Everything is cooked. I'd rather just die in the damn nuclear fallout than have to die a slow death of nuclear poisoning, or everything on the earth is just scorched.
That's what
So,
Sam Tripoli says. He's like, if the nuke's gonna fall, make sure it lands right on me.
bro, take me the hell out, man. Don't let me live to suffer the consequences of having, this bullshit life. You touched on something with these AI, and that progress is never going to stop. I mean, again, they will tell us to conserve energy while they're building these massive data centers. But I wanted to touch on this earlier about something else, but this in Kazakhstan, there's this place. I think I'm pronouncing it right. It's called Atula Park. It's Alatu.
I know. Okay, I think I know what you're talking about.
Okay, so Sacha Baron Cohen did that whole Brat. Remember that movie Brat, where he's just making fun. Okay, so he showed that place as a third world country, and over there in Kazakhstan, it's just it's horse and buggy bullshit, right? It's extremely highly advanced place. When you look at that, go look up Kazakhstan, and you go and you look up and it's Astana, 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 Astana. I think I'm saying it right. Look at that place. It is the most high-tech place you'll ever see. It blew my damn mind. And so when I was getting ready for this, I copied and pasted some stuff because, dipping into all this religion shit I was wanting to talk about, I think the Nephilim, this is where they live, because they have the 200 seats in this very high-tech. I mean, it looks like, remember as a kid with the cartoon, the Justice League? They had the big round tables, and then they had a big screen, and it was all the superheroes. It was kind of like literally where all these fallen angels live, because it's 200 literal seats that are in this conference room, this high-tech conference room. And when this is over, you got to go Google this place. It'll blow your mind. But it is all ran on AI. and database, and the amount of I took the notes. The amount of security cameras is they have over 1,200 hardware and software systems and operational that are literally to police video the whole place. You can't move without being like on every camera. You talk about
Wow.
Orson Welles, 1984. Like this is the pinnacle of that right here. But you look at the place, and it's all AI ran database centers, and it's super high tech. It looks like a space station in the desert. And so, I'm sitting there going, oh my God, we're sitting here talking about data centers and all this, and they've already got it up and running as the show model of what the world is and how you police your citizens. And I think you get into this whole shit about, okay, well, here we go with this war we're in. And I follow this dude named Jesse, and he had his Instagram is, I sent you some stuff a while back. It's 3D car classics. He makes 3D car classic parts, but he's always on. There's a guy with the sunglasses, and he cusses all the time, and he just shoots it super straight. And he was talking today. We are fucked by Monday. If Trump, I'm hoping there's some sort of art of war maybe in this that we don't know about. But going back to that energy thing I was talking about at the beginning, basically what they're saying is if Iran doesn't take his offer on opening up that Straits of Hormuz, then the gas prices are skyrocketing. And we are in a bad situation because this is something that's not going to get solved in a couple of months. This could be years. Remember in the 70s when they started making those shitty little cars because of the oil prices and all that?
Yeah, they ruined the Mustang and everything. Yeah,
they ruined all the muscle cars, man. That's when the muscle car. Dude, I think history's repeating itself. I think we're getting ready to go through one of the 70s things where you see people in gas lines because gas got so limited.
Yep.
I think we're going to step back into a scenario like that. We're like, oh, the resources are down. Kind of like
They're
diamonds.
going to force the EV thing on us at this point.
And
then that goes to the data grid and the power system and the infrastructure to back it all. And then that goes to like I said, the illusion of choice. Let's say California 5 years ago, we're saying we're going to mandate electric vehicles everywhere and blah, blah, blah. And then they can't even handle the power structures they have currently. So they're like, okay, we're going to have to nix that idea. But if they now take the choice away from it and they force it on you because, well, there's no gas, so you're going to have to get electric cars. But then that spans into another realm of a buttload of things that I've been getting into on cars lately. Is my truck is a 2024, so I guess 2 years old at this point, model wise. But it's probably got some kind of model kill switch and other bullshit in it. It's got the emission button that I turn off immediately when I get in the car because it's annoying when you stop at a stoplight, and it kills the engine.
Yeah.
But with all these, you remember during 2020 and COVID and everything with all the shutdown, I don't remember if you noticed, but if you drove by a car lot, the new inventory was like 5%. And then the used inventory was packed. But the new inventory wasn't there because they didn't have their superconductors and all this bullshit computer shit from China and Taiwan, which if this war rages even more, then China is going to fucking get into it, or China's going to sneak attack Taiwan while everybody's distracted by the other shit. And then we're going to have to spread ourselves thin to another front and possibly go land it. It's like, dude, it's just compounded insanity right now. And, just starting with cars gets you into all of it. And you're like, whoa.
Well, so NVIDIA is the chip that runs damn near everything, right? And so, which is crazy because I went down this rabbit hole about cars. Same thing you're talking about, the whole setup, everything from the chips to how they're going to be able to govern how much energy you use because there's a computer inside these newer trucks and cars that they
just passed a new law for kill switches. Yep.
Yeah, so they can govern, like you could be on your way somewhere and all of a sudden your car shuts off and it's like, well, you've overused your energy level. And what is crazy, because I started going down this path and this guy's like, okay, you better start getting those pre-2000 trucks. I've been looking at trucks and they're like, get the ones out with the computers in them. Get those old school 350s, the Fords, F-150s. And I'm like going, oh my God. And I looked at the prices and then people are catching on. Like they're jacking up truck prices. I'm like going, and you can actually work on trucks from the 90s and trucks from the 80s, right?
Yep.
And everything in there is easily worked on. But now that these newer cars, newer trucks, man, they're making it just everything's getting real difficult because they're trying to, the bubbles in the water are just bubbling faster. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
that's that frog in the boiling pot. Now it ain't just a jacuzzi anymore. Now it's scalding hot and it's too late.
yeah, well, and I think the thing it's getting uh, for me. So you remember when, I don't know what year, it was like 2021 or 22, when the Georgia Guidestone blew up out of
Yes.
nowhere, like some laser hit it, right? No one, I mean, and no one is sitting there going, "Holy shit, what? Who shot this thing?" Because it came from a
They said
laser.
somebody ran into it, but it looked way worse than
Oh,
just a car
bullshit.
running into it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, bullshit. Man, those things are like 20 tons, dude. You wouldn't even dent it, man, if you hit those things.
Hmm.
And they were busted all into pieces. Like, where was the vehicle? You'd see car parts, never saw anything. So, and then it had, the how many people on this earth and all this. And then, so going down these rabbit holes of like, well, going back to energy. So we have this energy crisis that's on our heels. Like, it's getting ready to happen. It's coming. And they're going to use
Hmm.
it to make money. And that's all this is all about anyways. They're going to squeeze this to make money in some sort of capacity of control, right? So you'll start seeing more and more narratives in your feeds. Your algorithms start talking about like, okay, now it's going to be like it's not necessarily a lockdown, but it's more of a controlled environment where, you're limited on your energy consumption. Well, same thing goes back to humans because we're energy. All we are is frequency and vibration, and our heart's a battery. And if you take salt, that's what I take a lot. Your energy level goes up because think about what batteries need, right? So you get these things that your electrolytes is basically the energy for our bodies. I'm getting all these crazy text messages. So anyway, uh, so you're looking at this Georgia Guidestone issue where it's talking about how many people need to be here on this earth, right? Sets like, what was it, like 5 million or 5 billion, like total? Can't
I'll
remember.
Google it real quick, but yeah, continue. I'll find the
Yeah, yeah.
number real
Go
fast.
Google. I can't remember the exact amount of people, but here's the situation. So we're talking about we got all this problem with energy. That there were too many of us. We're using too much energy, but we're actually human resources. So they need some of us, and whatever that they've already figured the math about how many they need.
They
So
said
they used
500 million.
okay. So they have used that's not that many when you talk about in the
Bro,
world.
compared to
That's
say
not that.
there's 30 billion people or whatever the hell they say on Earth, I mean,
Yeah.
yo, that's a big drastic number.
Yeah, and it is. And so they've used all these different metrics to control the population, kind of like what a parasite does to a bird. There's this symbiotic relationship between parasites and birds. When the population gets too much, they start killing them off. When there's not enough, they jump back, and it's just the same
Mhm.
thing they're doing with us. So going back, I'm trying to circle back into this with the batteries, the energy, and then getting back into this whole thing in Kazakhstan, right? So AI is coming to take a lot of this jobs. Like there's places that are just going out of business. Like we were laughing the other day because record stores, DVD. Remember you were posting about that? There's no
Mhm.
physical assets. So a lot of things are just moving out of our consumption. There's not going to be jobs. There's not going to be things for those kind of natures because the population's slimming down, and they know that. So there's ushering things out of the way. And so what I'm seeing is this whole AI, and people are like, oh, they're going to take all the jobs. Well, they're not going to take all the jobs. They're going to take a lot of jobs because it goes back to the Georgia Guidestones. Because what you see in Kazakhstan in that park is AI is running everything. And you have AI doing all the security. When you read through, you go to the wiki. So when you click on the link to that park and you see how magnificent it is, click on that and then click the wiki, and it tells you all about what's going on with this park. It's an innovation park, and it's out of this world, but it's self-contained, it's self-ran, it's self-energy. And so all the jobs that would take to run that are eliminated.
Mhm.
So what you're going to start seeing is what they're doing is they're getting rid of the goyim, the shape of the world. They're the open mouth
Mhm.
breathers, the useless people. They're trying to kill off all the ones, all the AIs in this world that didn't quite meet the standards of the best of the AI. When you're propagating flowers and you want to get all the best roses or you want to get all the best flowers, you sit there and you eliminate all the ones that have deficiencies, right?
Weakest link. Yep.
Yeah, they're just shoving us off. I call it compassionate genocide. They're trying to kill us off without letting us know.
Suicidal empathy also. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so to me, they're just kind of killing people off. I mean, 2020 was a wake up call. Look how many people got affected immediately off
Well,
of
that's a
taking the
funny thing.
vaccine.
That's what I was thinking about with 2020, and then you mentioning the Guidestones is, under lockdown, a lot of people, I mean, you and me, we've been way into conspiracies. I've been in a conspiracy since I had a library card, dude, like six years old. I mean,
Yeah,
seriously, the first books I was getting, Bigfoot, Bermuda Triangle, aliens, and all kinds of shit. It's like, but as you get older and you pay attention to more and more weird shit, you're kind of like ahead of the curve a little bit. Not in a I hate
yeah,
to say I told you so kind of way, but then by 2020, a lot of people are going, yo, what the fuck is going on, man? But they can do this, they can do that. And then they're locked at home. So they start just going down rabbit holes. And so the world started waking up. And then I think that's why they took out the Georgia Guidestones, because it sat there for however many damn years and nobody
yeah.
gave any notice to it. But once
Right.
everybody was locked down and didn't have shit to do except just research shit, they're like, hey, what the hell is this thing, man? And then next thing you know, it's gone.
Yeah. So, well, okay. Yeah. And I'm going to circle back to mine. But, speaking of getting into conspiracy theory, my first encounter, what really got me into this, because I have friends that are boomers, and dude, they're not into any of this. Like, they think it's all a bunch of made up bullshit, right? They just believe everything the normal TV mainstream will tell them. So, the Murrah building in Oklahoma City, when that was blown up, when all this conspiracy theories came out about that, about all the feds were out of the building at the time, right? And then that whole Anthony kid or whatever that guy's name was, the bomber, like
Timothy
that
McVeigh?
never made, huh?
Timothy McVeigh.
Timothy McVeigh, yeah.
Yeah.
That never made sense. One station would tell this story, the next station would tell this, because we were all fascinated because we live in Oklahoma. We're like, oh my god, that's down the road, right? And none of that ever made sense. So then, I worked for the government during when 9/11 happened, and we shut down. Like we all got the phone call, get out of your buildings. We're all shutting down until we figure out what's going on. We watched it happen on our TV at work, and I was like going, holy shit, this is insane. And so, then, the Illuminati stuff, and then we got into all that. So everything was just going like, what's to do with all these buildings getting bombed? It didn't really make sense, but they were covering up evidence and all. There's lots of stories. But, when you go back into, this playbook of like this world, and I'm looking at going, okay, so if we're human resources and we're energy, and they like our loosh, and they base it off fear. And so they like all this stuff because the Mayans fucked around and found out. And that's what people don't understand. Like, when I was in college, oh, the Mayans overcropped. Well, that's bullshit, because they were masterful fishermen. And they could fish, and they could have boats, and they can go off their land to another place to live, and crop and grow crops. So that never settled with me until a buddy of mine, we both know him, Clint Naughton, told me the story about the chiefs holding up the babies for sacrifices. And then those basins had tubes that went down into the earth. Well, I'm going to tell you this. I went to Paris, and I know I'm going to circle back. We're getting off track here.
No, dude, it can go wherever. This is Talking Stitt. This is what we do, man.
Yeah, we're gonna bounce everywhere. We're gonna bounce everywhere and make no sense. So I really believed in that story of they broke the compact about feeding the Nephilim, because the Nephilim live beneath us, right?
The old ones, dude. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna talk about Nephilims, and then remind me that we got to talk about how the Nephilims the movie Blade with Wesley Snipes is a story about Jesus and the Nephilim. I'm gonna get into that.
One tiny thing, another movie, before you continue, remember, did you ever see Cabin in the Woods?
Yeah.
Okay, remember what the whole premise of that movie was? There was each archetype. There was the stoner, there was the football jock, the nerd, the slut girl, the whatever. And every time one of them died, you saw the blood trickle down. And at the end of the movie, what happened? The freaking old one came out from underneath. But yeah, continue, like you're saying.
Same thing. Well, so the whole thing about the Mayans, like I never bought that story. And then, my buddy was like, hey, they sacrifice kids. And, this went on for centuries. And then until people were like, I'm not doing this. I'm not giving up my firstborn anymore. Right. That's bullshit. Old story. It's old folklore. Well, then they came up one night and they ate them all. They drug them beneath the earth, and they just captured them all and then ate them as needed. Well, when I went to Paris last year, I went to the catacombs, and that's kind of like, the catacombs is like this. You go down into the earth, and it's where all these bones are stacked and all these skulls, and it's miles of this shit. And you look at this and you're going, who took the time to do this and why would they do this? Right. And they can
Mm-hmm.
talk all this crazy shit they want to tell you, like, oh, it was a disease or something. This is where they buried the dead. Bullshit. These bones were clean and the skulls were, I mean, you're not supposed to touch one. I grabbed one. I'm like, I'm going to hold it, make sure it's real. It was real. I think that was a depository of where they put their bones after they ate them. And that's where I mean, because, these tunnels are all underneath this whole world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was just a depository they tried to make up some sort of bullshit story for. Like,
Well,
oh,
even
yeah,
including America between the
yeah,
national parks and things. Yeah.
yeah. Snake Mountain, man, that's another one.
Tunnels everywhere.
Lots of tunnels in Tulsa, Oklahoma, man, right next to the railroad tracks.
Yep. I've been in
So
those. You talking about the downtown ones?
yeah,
Yeah, I've
yeah,
been in them when I was a kid. Yeah.
yeah. And they got a bullshit story about that, about the oil baron days, and that's how they escaped around. It's like,
That's what they
shit.
told us. It was a field trip. Yep.
Yeah, that's what they want you. Just like those buildings are founded. They didn't
Mm-hmm.
build shit, man. They did.
It's kind of like
None of
the
it.
idea of Freemasonry. Like maybe they just
Yeah,
found the masonry for free.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like stumbled upon. I don't know, but
yeah. They didn't have the technology to build half the buildings. That the guy. What we talk about the other day was his thing called lunchtime.
my
His
lunch break.
YouTube. My lunch break. Oh my
Yeah.
god, dude, that is such a great rabbit hole. That dude put the work in, man. Because when he does the math and shows you the dates, and then shows you the buildings, and then the bullshit stories, the narratives they try to push. So okay, so goes back to the whole thing about energy, the Nephilim. So this is the thing. This is the part I think I'm going to get into the religion aspect because it all ties in. Everything all ties in. We always talk about NPCs. Well, what the hell is NPCs? Well, those were the Cabbage Patch people that were cloned, right? Cloning's been around. This is not new technology. So NPCs were the kids that they cloned and incubated, and they showed that in the World Fair bullshit in the 20s. So this is kind of a weird subject to get into because normally this is where I start losing people because they don't want to hear this. So I'm part Native American, Creek, and I'm part Scottish. And so I grew up with my traditional family, my Creeks. And what people don't realize is everything in the Christian Bible is all Middle Eastern folklore. That shit came from overseas. That's not America. None of that happened here in America. That happened in Jerusalem, right?
True.
This is old folklore. And so, when you get into this whole religion and you try to understand the Bible, why did Catholic Church and the nines and all that and Constantine they all got together? Yeah, and then Constantine edited everything, and then King James used his own son as the image of Christ because Christ was gone how many years before they made the Bible? I don't even know how long, but they had no depiction of Christ ever. They just made it up. And people bought the story because King James well, if he's the image of us humans, my son is the greatest looking guy on earth. We're going to use him. And then over time, he started, you get an American and all of a sudden Jesus has long blonde hair and blue eyes.
Looking like Kenny Loggins. Yeah.
Yeah. So, which is weird because people buy into that's our creator. Well, then why did none of the Native Americans? I met a lot of chiefs when I worked for the Native American government back in the day, 12 years. And I met a lot of chiefs and we talk religion and prayers and our creator. All natives had the same creator, right? We didn't have a Jesus. We didn't have a Mary. We didn't have any of this stuff, right? It was just one creator. And we lived in this world as a host. And so we all lived symbiotic. We would eat a buffalo, use all the parts, right? That was kind of the way of life. Everything was useful, everything was meaningful, spiritual. And so they send over, we get colonized, and then a new religion gets forced on us. That doesn't make any damn sense, because Jesus wasn't about churches and he wasn't about any of this shit. But see, what the Bible was created for was control. Because that's how the Catholics wanted to control America and start controlling the rest of the world. Okay, let's send out this message. We'll give some nuggets of truth and some things they can focus on. But it's it's kind of like everything else. You got to shroud it so hard and so complicated that it's kind of like a Quentin Tarantino movie. You're like, what the hell's really going on here?
Yeah.
There's 4 stories, the book of this and the book of that, and the good books they left out, like Mary Magdalene and the book of Enoch that had all the real good stuff in it.
Well, and then like
But
Spaniards coming down to South America first, that's Catholicism. And then that, Catholicism in Spain and obviously Italy and shit. And then you were talking about like the catacombs and things. So I mean, yeah, dude, it's all old world shit. But continue, yeah.
well, yeah. And I mean, and I believe in fasting and prayer. And I do. We talked. I talked about fasting the other day and about whole subject of praying and
Mhm.
understanding the concept of this world about your
Praying is a
words. Because
vibration, is what it really
yeah,
is.
yeah. And so, anyway, I started looking up a lot more ideology, meaning of words, where they come like government means to govern the mind. Like, oh,
Yes.
of course
That's
it
one
does.
of my
Of course
favorite
it
subjects.
does.
Yep. Television,
Yeah,
programs.
television.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
and yeah, but see, people don't really spend the time to think about that. And they have, so human resources, and I'm going to tell you what I think a lot of this comes down to going back to energy crisis and then the energy of the humans. There's two crises going on. So one, we have the natural energy crisis, which is oil, right? And that's when they're gonna slap us down again and start controlling more of us because of war, right?
That's physical.
And then we have the humans energy that's getting reduced. And
Hmm.
so what they're doing now, they're reducing the population, and the way they work is they move in increments, right? You've heard that. It's the that's the way the whole Rothschild system works, is all through this increments. And they did a really good job in pharmakia, right?
Yes.
They prescribe you this crap that doesn't work. It's just a temporary band-aid that honestly hurts you down the road, especially when you get into cholesterol. People don't understand what really cholesterol is, but I'm not going to go there. Let's stick to this. So I think what's going to happen is when you try to like look at the whole big picture, like, okay, well, we don't know the real answers. We're conspiracy theorists. We want to just freely think about things and go, well, this could be true. Okay, well, that
Mhm.
makes sense. Well, this resonates with me, or that is total bullshit. Because listen, I've eaten some bad carrots, man. I went down some rabbit holes and went, oh my God, this is stupid. I feel like
I've
an
eaten some
asshole.
bad mushrooms. No.
Yeah.
I know what
Well,
you're saying, though. Yeah, there's stuff that you're like,
yeah.
well, this is interesting, and then you find out it's total bullshit. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can fight people all day long about the moon landing. I'm like, going, oh, but you're going to believe in the Bible, and it talks about, the firmament, and we can't get past it. But you're going to believe we went to the moon, so you can't have it both ways, dude. I
And
mean,
then Von
no,
Braun
you can't.
puts on
Yeah,
his tombstone, the heaven declares the glory of God and the whatever in the firmament, whatever. I paraphrase, but
we
yeah.
and honest to God, dude, actions speak louder than words. When all those astronauts came back from the moon, and they were sitting on that conference table, I've watched it many times, and you think we just did the greatest achievement on Earth. They would
Hmm.
be, they were fucking like sitting there like madder in hell and depressed. They didn't want to say anything. I'm like,
What's a
well,
NASCAR driver do when he wins the Daytona 500? He's fucking chugging, champagne and
campaign.
pouring it everywhere and shit.
Yeah.
Come back from
And
the moon,
yeah,
you're like,
yeah, I don't want to talk about it. Like, yeah, we got in this capsule with this flimsy ass lid on.
right.
So, what's his name? Kubrick. He did it all.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but
And
anyway,
he's
so the
part of
thing
the
about
J tribe, also, though. That's an interesting
oh
thing,
yeah,
too.
yeah. Well, it's all about it's so everything we talked about this. Everything's about the Kansas City Shuffle.
Hmm.
Everything's the Kansas City Shuffle. This whole world, it's not that complicated, but they put a lot of distractions and things, so it makes it sound complicated. But everything in this world is about the Kansas City Shuffle. They want you to look at one way while they're doing shit on this way, right? Or they project what one candidate's doing as they're eating kids on the other side. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's all crazy bullshit.
Would you rather
Like
us eat the kids or abort the kids? And you're like, well, fucking neither, man.
yeah, I mean, they just lie so damn much. It's gotten like even like information disinformation so confusing. You're just kind of like, oh my God, it just takes so much time to really figure out if I'm crazy or if this is true. And it's kind of like, the whole Pizzagate when it first came out, it's kind of like, maybe. And then they send that guy in there like an asshole with a rifle and they make it look stupid, like, oh, he's just a crazy person. Forget about this
Mhm.
nonsense. Get back to work, you goyams.
Yeah,
But
and then he mysteriously dies in a car wreck or whatever
oh
after
yeah,
that.
just
Did you
like
know that?
anyone who, yeah, just like anyone who invents free energy, all of a sudden, like, I'm going to demonstrate my free energy next week. Dead. Don't
Yeah.
just show everybody. Don't
I
announce
want to
it.
help everybody. And then I hate myself. I'm going to kill myself. You're like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So this thing about energy and so my thing is this. So in the Bible it talks about the 200 fallen angels. Well, that's the Nephilim, and they're not fucking angels. That's where they distort they're fucking bats. They're the vampires. They're the shapeshifters. So when I mentioned earlier about the whole Wesley Snipes, because I think it's the best movie to go watch and understand my theory. This is my theory about Christ. When I told you I went to Paris last year, I went there on a little bit of a trip with my daughters, but I wanted to find out. Me and Angie were going, okay, I want to know more about Mary Magdalene. And so here's my whole theory, and we'll get back to the energy and why this all makes sense.
Dude, go, yeah, cook with it. I like it.
So the movie Blade is Wesley Snipes. He's a halfling, right? He's part vampire, part human. He's a daywalker because he has the ability. So he falls in love with humanity. So he's out there fighting all these vampires because he's like, we don't have to live like this. So he's kind of killing his own, right? But he's not killing the OGs in the first couple series or the first two shows because he's killing the actual the Renfields, the turned, the ones that got turned by the OGs. And the third, the Trinities, when you start seeing the OGs, and then the big worm looking vampires, like a big parasite looking thing. Okay, so that story is really a Hollywood version of what Christ's story is about. That's, to me, that's a Hollywood version of Christ. They tell the same stories in different configurations, right? You know, so this one particularly hits home because I can tell people this and go, okay, here's my hypothesis about Christ. I don't believe he was what we're told he is. I believe he was a teacher, and I think he went against what his father was. So a Nephilim fell in love with a human named Mary, had a child named Jesus, Yeshua, or Yashu. Yeah, I think it's Yeshua.
Yeshua, yeah.
So he has this child named Jesus, and that's why in the Bible you hear about the birth, okay? But then you don't hear about Jesus for a long time because his father takes him beneath and teaches him his ways of being a Nephilim, right? You're a halfling. You're going to come live with us. Well, then he gets older. And he goes, I'm going to go live amongst the humans and experience that life. So he goes out there and he starts living amongst them. And he falls in love with humanity. Like, we don't need to eat them. We can show them how to live on this earth and live a better way. He starts having more compassion for them, right? On his mother's side. So he takes this whole group of people that have started following him because they like what he's saying. They're like, he's healing people. He's teaching us knowledge about things we didn't know. So he develops this following. So he starts off with he takes on this crusade. I think the number is like 72 or maybe it's 80 something, but it's 72 is what he starts off with, right? So as he's on this journey, halfway through there, he goes, I'm getting low network bandwidth on my computer. I'm talking about
I can still hear you, but yeah, it is slowing down a little bit. It is interesting timing, but yeah, no, it's going back to normal now. It's done that a few times. But it's only been when you brought up Rothschilds and other shit. So
yeah, well, this is the truth that they don't want you to really know. So he takes off on this crusade, and on the 72 disciples he has with them, he turns to them and he says, listen, the only way we can defeat this Roman Empire, which were the turned Nephilim, the turned of the Nephilims, only way we can beat these people that are controlling and manipulating us and constricting your way of life is if you have to become one of me. So eat of my flesh and drink of my blood and you'll live for eternity, right? Well, they bastardize that in the Bible, but that was saying, like, listen, to be me, to have powers like me, you got to become like me. And then they were freaked out. And he goes, well, do I offend you? And so most of them left and only 12 stayed. His 12 disciples. Mary Magdalene was one of them, which she was turned, and they went on this crusade. Well, long story. That's why you're starting to see this in the Bible, but they manipulate the story. Like, they don't have to tell you the truth, but the Bible was never said, hey, we have to tell you everything. The Bible never said, hey, this is exactly how everything went down, because they left out books too, right? So how can they tell you it's everything if they're leaving out books of Mary Magdalene and Enoch, right?
Right.
But they're just leaving out truths. Like, we left that part out, sorry. Or maybe we just didn't tell it the way you understood it. Like Hillary Clinton.
Which leaves context. They take context off the table in some spots, yes.
During this deposition with Hillary Clinton recently, she said, I didn't lie. You allowed yourself to be deceived. I'm like, motherfucker, I'm stealing that.
That's a genius quote, because she's such a piece of shit. But it's funny also that this is all old world shit, whether we know the answers. You said like conspiracies. I just want to say one thing because of bringing up Hillary Clinton. With conspiracies, people go, oh, you fucking conspiracy theorists, you have the answer to everything. I don't have an answer to a goddamn thing. The thing is, I have a question, and then that question leads you down a rabbit hole. And guess what? Does it give you an answer? No, it gives you 50 more questions, but at least you're willing to look into it. But with Hillary, dude, so that Anthony Weiner, all the emails and all that shit, the Hillary Clinton, 33,000 emails, 33. What a fucking convenient number as well. But with Hillary Clinton, she was talking about looking for the resurrection chamber of Nebuchadnezzar and stuff, and you're like, whoa! And then you got the giant of Kandahar, which is in Afghanistan. Nephilim, 6 fingers, 6 toes, two rows of teeth. This shit's been there, and people just don't want to see it. But continue.
Well, they don't want to know the truth. Well, so it's called conspiracy theories, not conspiracy answers.
Bingo.
That's where people really get fucked up. Like, no, man, we're just trying to find shit out. Don't try. See, they don't want us digging, dude. They don't want us going down rabbit holes and figuring shit out. So they make us look stupid and crazy. Oh, it's conspiracy theory. You must be loony. Well, no, we just want to know because shit's not adding up and we're trying to figure it out. So back to Jesus. So anyway, long story short, they capture him and, he allows himself to die to show them like, I can't die, right? That's the whole thing. They crucify him. They do all this horrible shit to him. So the rest of his team, his disciples, they leave. So Mary Magdalene flees to France and she creates this palace of a world in Antibes. And I went there. I wanted to see what Antibes like. They have Billionaires Bay. It's where billionaires live. When you go there, it's where normal people don't live.
Or know about it, yeah.
It's one of those places when you see the homes, you're like, who can afford this? It's unworldly, and the Mediterranean Sea is so blue, and the place is just paradise, right? Because she and her disciples created this place for them. It was a Eden of paradise, right? Well, then the Romans come after her. Now I'm gonna tell you this. This is where it gets fun. So while I'm in Paris, we go to the what's the museum? It's on the tip of my tongue. I'm gonna say it wrong. Oh God, I forgot the museum. I'll think of it in a minute. It's in Paris, and it's got tapestry of the life of Mary Magdalene. It's the that's Deschamps.
I'm gonna find the answer for you real quick.
And they are like. These tapestries are 20 feet tall. This shit is massive. And the tapestry is her whole life. And what's crazy is you see her with Jesus and you see her like on these crusades and all this stuff. And all of a sudden, dude, this is what blows my mind. Look up some of the museums in Paris. It's
what I'm saying. I know there's the Louvre.
It's the most famous one. It's not the Louvre
because that says it's got Mary Magdalene artwork.
Just look up the top 10 museum. It's on the tip of my tongue. I can't believe I can't. My brain's just not going there.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah.
So look up the top 10 on there. And so I'm looking at this tapestry with my wife, and then all of a sudden, we see she's on the boat with George Washington going to America, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Wait a minute. The timeline between the story of Christ and George Washington was centuries and centuries. This is insane. She's a vampire. They don't die. They told you in an interview with the vampire how they live. They tell you in all these different stories, Bram Stoker, Nosferatu, right? These are all stories that they've Hollywoodized to basically tell the story without telling you. So she's on the boat with George Washington, and she comes to the America, right, to start this new world. Well, she goes and starts New Orleans. And I was telling you the other day, that's why there's so much vampire folklore there and all the weird vampire vibes you get there, right? Because that's her family of vampires. Those are the ones that she's turned in that community. Now, flash forward to today. Well, not today. Back in the 90s, Hurricane Katrina. Was that in the 90s?
Yeah. Early 2000s. George W. Bush was in office. Because everybody remembers Kanye interrupting Mike Myers when they're doing some award show, and Mike Myers is standing right next to Kanye, and Kanye goes, George Bush don't give a shit about black people. And Mike Myers is standing there like,
yeah. Well, they don't. They don't. They
No, I
that
know, but it was a hilarious moment.
so you have the Nephilim OGs fighting against the remnants of the Christ followers, and they're all vampires. And they talk about spiritual wars. That's these two fractions fighting, star-crossed lover kind of bullshit.
Mm.
And that's why they flooded the hell out of the whole Louisiana. They were trying to flood them out. They were just going to drown the shit out of all their stuff. Like, oh, you know
The
what?
remains.
We're gonna shoot you with some harp shit because all the
Dude,
technology we build is all for the Nephilim. It's not for
just
us.
like all the Middle East wars as well, even though you said like, a lot of these things are Middle Eastern folklore, these are still biblical sites to them, whether real or not real, or we don't know. But I mean, look at what was happening in Afghanistan and Iraq and Syria and places like that, Damascus and shit. When all these, last 25 years was going on, you'd see these terrorists, quote unquote, which are usually funded
Yeah.
by us anyways, but you're seeing videos of them destroying biblical sites. So it goes to the same idea of New Orleans taking out old world shit as well. It's like they're trying to erase history no matter what, whether for good or bad or whatever. It's like whether it's a physical place or an ideology. If they can take out the physical place, then they can make the ideology die also, because then there's no example to show and prove that it's existed.
Right. I'm trying to find that. God, the museum in Paris. It's gonna freak. I know at the minute I say it, it's gonna be like I know it. But anyway, so let's just move on with that. I'll figure it out in a minute. So, okay, so you have these two fractions that are fighting, and then you get to the point of like when okay, in one hand they need our energy and our loosh, right? So in the blood, and they need the children, and then the other thing you're going is like okay, then why are they trying to reduce the population? And why are they trying to bring in AI to this equation to eliminate? Obviously things have to change. We always evolving.
Mm-hmm.
We're not the same in the 70s, except for what we've eaten and our diet has been destroyed. But we're always evolving in evolution, and it's always just gotten but it's gotten faster since internet. In 2020, it started catapulting with the conspiracy theories, and that's why a lot of things have been moving a lot faster. Like, have you noticed how we went from like one story to another story to another story, like, and then here we are now, and we're talking about energy and people, and they're reducing the population, but they need a certain amount of us. So it's kind of like, well, then what's really going on? And to me, I don't, I don't quite get at this point what the purpose is of eliminating humans. I mean, because if you've ever flown, I've flown here recently. You look over, we have tons of land, an amazing amount of land.
Mm-hmm.
We have the technology to take water from the ocean and turn it into drinkable water, right? But they don't want to do that. They want to treat water like diamonds. Oh, it's a precious commodity. We don't have enough, you know. But they do all this stuff to control and compress us. And what I mean by compressing is they start pushing our lives smaller and smaller into VRs and smaller into, our phones, where they just want us locked into a life that, it's outside where we should be.
They take your reason and your will. They take it away. Like they'll let you
Yeah,
stay alive, but your
yeah,
purpose, they're taking it away. Yeah.
they subvert our free will through influencers.
Yeah.
Because one thing that my wife and I talk about, we only know what we're told.
You only know
And then
what
what
you
I mean
know.
by that is like, it doesn't matter what you read. It doesn't matter what someone tells you. That's all you know. We process information. We try to have deductible reasoning behind it, right? And then you try to move forward, like being a Native American. Like, okay, well, we never trusted the government because my great grandfather who gave me my traditional name he was born on the Trail of Tears, and literally his mother died, and he was raised by his aunts. They didn't bury her; they just left him where they were, and then they pushed him into this barren land called Oklahoma. And by the way, Tulsa means little town and creek.
Interesting.
So they pushed us in this area to die because it was barren wasteland. They found oil, then all of a sudden they started moving in. And then if you watch the movie Flowers of the Moon, you'll figure out what happened to Tulsa during the wrist riots. And you're going to figure out what happened up there in Osage County because it was all the tiny hats. It was all about banking. And so, those are the Renfields. Those are the ones who believe they're the chosen people from the God they serve, which is the Nephilim. They actually serve the gods who think they are the gods. So, but going back to that theory, I got this thing because we're getting ready to come up on Easter and all the bullshit behind this. I don't partake in any religious stuff. I love the teachings of Christ. I always go and pray to my Lord and Creator. But one thing they have done a hell of a good job. How do you keep people from revolting? They created a narrative. It's a Kansas City shuffle. They take Jesus. See, they hate Jesus. You can't say his name. Like, you've heard this. Like, you don't say his name. The tiny hats think he was just, it's just another person. Like, scoff him off. Like, he's nobody. That's when you talk about him, like, no, Jesus.
Look him in the Talmud. See what they say about him. Yeah,
He's just
exactly.
another dude. He didn't mean shit.
Boiling in hell in a pot of shit. Yep.
Right. And they create this stuff like, if you die, you go to hell in this bad place. You got a straight and narrow. But what they're talking about, like, don't worry if someone does you wrong. Don't worry about problems. Jesus is going to come down and save everything, right? Well, how long has Jesus been dead? Every generation set on their ass waiting. You know why? They don't want you to take action. They want you to sit and wait for a prophecy. They're going, and they give this old prophecy stuff like, well, he said this, we're going to have a tornado. We got a tornado. That's like me saying, hey, you know what? By the end of the year, we're going to get some cold weather. About December, it's going to get cold. I'm a prophecy. So they get these guys, they put all this shit behind them, and it's all bullshit. Every bit of that is bullshit. Because they want to control this narrative of control. They want to keep the herd from actually moving. They want to keep sheep in line, doing what they need to do for as long as they need them. And then they start to cut off all the sick, and they feed us shit and slop and all the green soil. That movie,
yeah, Soylent Green, and
yeah. They just feed us back our own shit because a guy did the math and said, you know how many cows there actually are? Well, you know how much, and then someone goes, well, we import our beef from so-and-so, and he goes, yeah, and you know how much that really amounts to? And he goes, you start doing the math, you're going, we serve way too many hamburgers, dude. There's too much meat. So anyway, I think that's where prayer comes in. That's where you pray over your food for health and good things. Like, even if you said out loud or in your mind, you pray over your food. But anyway, so, this thing's come up with Easter, and all these people are going, he has risen. Like, okay. But then he died, and why isn't he come back? Why are the Nephilim allowed to do? I made that joke about Chuck Norris dying and going to heaven to kick the shit out of Jesus because he allowed Epstein to do all this horrible shit. And it's like, well, wait a minute. There's horrible shit all the time. Every day. If you Google how many people die in 2025 and how many births there were, it's just an elevator that's constantly going up and down, death and births. It's insane. So I think it's this. Back to the energy, the whole people. I think the group of people that think that they are the chosen people of the earth, that tiny hats, because there's a whole city in New York where they all live, the Hasidic Jews. They don't work. They live off government-funded money, every damn one of them. And they have, like massive families, 13, 16 kids. I don't ever want that many kids in my house.
The Nick Shirley guy went viral for pointing out the Somali fraud, and then I can't remember the other guy, something Tyler Oliveira went not viral for pointing out the New York and New Jersey synagogues and shit like that fraud because that's anti-Semitism. You're like, but wait, if we're shitting on brown people, that's okay. But big nose, tiny hats, that's not, oy vey, that's the end of the world, victim. It's like, what the fuck, dude? It doesn't, like, okay, I just want to say a tiny tangent is like here in Oklahoma, and you bring up like the native thing. I'm part Cherokee. Ashley's 3 times as much Creek, than I am Cherokee, but she's Creek as well. But I'm saying I don't like the McGirt ruling. Because the funny thing is people don't understand the dude McGirt that the ruling is after was a fucking rapist, a child pedophile. So then you look into that and you're like, so you're basing your whole narrative off of that. And now we have to go, well, you're white or you're black or you're Mexican, you get this standard. But if you're native, you get this standard. Like one of my daughter's teachers was the Caitlin Foltz lady that went viral last year during winter. She was her teacher 2 years before that. But she taught at my daughter's school and my son's school. She's the one that left her foster kid outside in the cold and all that shit. Husband and wife get charged for the exact same crime. Wife is native, husband's not. He gets 3 times the sentence as she does. And I'm like, okay, it's not a fucking racist thing to say you do the crime, you do the fucking time. Right. I don't care if you're a tiny hat. I don't care if you're a faggot. I don't care if you're black, Asian, midget, gay, straight, whatever. You do the crime, you do the same time equally. But continue. I'm just saying, like, I
Yeah,
hate
I mean,
the victim status of shit, you know?
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that goes across the board. So my thing on Native Americans, it's we live on sovereign land, and the government rents the land, which they
Right.
have sovereign symposies all the time because the government's always trying to figure out how to get the land back away from the Native Americans. Which, that to
Yeah,
me
and
is,
I'm not trying to make an argument out of it. I just mean like the same as like the
oh
Bob
yeah, no,
whatever
no,
the
I
fuck you
get it.
call it, the baby sucking dick shit for that the fucking Jews do, and the babies get all the freaking they just had more. Tel Aviv is posting stories about babies getting herpes on alarming rates, and you're like, so this is labeled under religious practice, so you can't say that's
Yeah,
sucking a baby's dick. But if
I
a
mean,
meth head did it, then he's going to jail for being a fucking pedophile. It's like, you know what I mean?
I
I'm just
don't.
saying.
Yeah, I mean, look, what was that viral thing that broke out? I think it was last year in New York with all those. I think they're Hasidic Jews that were
The tunnel
down in
juice.
the
Yeah.
tunnels, and then they were doing weird shit with the mattress and the kids, and you're like, okay,
And
you know
stains
what?
and high chairs. Yep.
I mean, my thing is this: I don't have a problem with anyone's nationality. You can believe whatever you want to believe. You want to, I don't care, but I think it's just when it starts imposing that anyone's better than anyone. I don't like all the race shit. I don't like all that, hey, because you're this or you're that. End of the day, to me, religion's all bullshit. And I
Mm,
know it's going to freak out some of my Christian friends. I think there's some good things to come from these books because that's all they are is books. I mean, let's just get it straight. There's not been one God that's ever come down and said, hey, listen, dude, when you were born, we forgot to give you the manual to who to worship. And then also, here's your manual how to take care of yourself. Here's the manual how to take care of your kids. We didn't come with any fucking manuals. And that goes back to the reset. We haven't got to there. And the
mhm.
Cabbage Patch Kids. But, no one was given a manual. So, okay, let me just wrap up this whole thing about energy. I think we're in a deep shit scenario for 2027 and the rest of this year. If this all this shit blows up on Monday about this Straits of Hormuz and Iran's like, we're not taking your shit, and we're not going to open it up, and you're just fuck you because they know this habits over a barrel.
Mhm.
Then oil gas
Literally.
prices we're gonna be stuck at about $3 to $4 to $5 here in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Gas prices, which is going to hurt some families, but at the end of the day, it's not that much. But everybody's going to use that excuse because trucking costs are going to go up, food delivery costs is going to go up, how we move this world's going to go up. So here we go with more inflation, and I'm like going, all right, Donald Trump, make America what? Because your
Yeah.
decisions you're doing over there in this bullshit war, because you're taking this APAC shit going that's got. I personally, I think they got them all blackmailed to do it. I mean, something's
All of them.
happening. I don't know if it's either blackmail or we're going to kill all your family. You're going to have to get your ass up there and do our bidding.
Mhm.
Because if you go back to the conspiracy shit of like Rome is the religion, and then England was the bank, and then America was the war heads. That's the three. That's how they set up the whole three.
Mhm.
And so we're just the going that go out and fight the battles because I don't think there's a lot of Jewish people fighting in these battles anywhere except for
Yeah.
over there.
Dude,
So
exactly. And like a
and so
perfect like go
they're
ahead.
not
Yeah.
Americans fighting. It's our kids are going to go over there and fight some bullshit war that we
Mhm.
don't need to. We're not defending anything. And they can talk about allies and this and that. And, I think there's a point where, we elect these officials and we give them too much autonomy
Yep.
because they will never do this because they keep us in war because it's financially good for the people in control. Because
Yeah.
I went down this rabbit hole, and what they figured out is the people that own all the shit in the world, they make a ton of money selling equipment to the United States for us to use, and they own all that. So they don't want to stop war. They need war. That's how they make money, and they
Yeah.
don't care about us. It's like us going over there. Like I watch these videos of these poor people getting blown to hell, and their lives are destroyed. They live in constant misery, and I'm like going, "Where's Christ? Where's Jesus? Like, just step over there and stop the war. Just pop out of the sky." Well, it doesn't work that way because that's the story they want to tell you.
But meanwhile, you got the Christ loving Lindsey Graham saying we gotta bomb the hell out of those people, leave them on
Fuck
their
Lindsey Graham,
knees. And but
dude.
you're like, bro, can you say any more like gay euphemisms in one fucking sentence?
That guy has got a closet full of just gay toys, dude.
dude,
I don't care if
he's
you're
got a
gay.
whole Reddit thread of basically his nickname is Lady G and DC. Every time
Yeah,
he's in DC, there's all these Redditors that come out that they're basically gay call boys, like
yeah,
call girls, but dudes. And yeah, everybody can describe Lindsey Graham to a T. Most of them have literally that his butt looks like a fucking chocolate chip cookie because of moles all over. They tell the exact same story and description. Oh, I know, right? But I'm just saying, like, these people, they're just warmongers. And at the end of the day, like, as we're kind of, dude, we're going to do another one of these because I got to get this one to a close. But at the end of the day, these people, they're just using your fear and emotions to send your boys over there to say, well, these brown people are humping goats and they're in the 12th century, so we got to go bomb them to hell because Toby Keith wrote a song. How come there's not a country singer that's wrote a new song yet? Bomb Iran or some shit. But my point is they're using this energy loose jacking bullshit to get your fucking attention over here to go blow up people that you don't even understand, that you don't even know where Iran. I've done this litmus test multiple times. Here's a blank map of the Middle East. Here's the borders, but there's no names on any of it. Where's Iran? Where's Syria?
Right.
Where's Libya? You motherfuckers don't know. You just know it's so far away that it's disconnected. And that's the problem with it all, is that at the end of the day, we're arguing over, well, my president said bomb this guy. My president bombed this guy. Either way, it's all evil, fucking satanic bullshit. At the end of the day, it's erasing history, it's jacking your loose, and it's killing our fucking offspring at the end of the day. Not to be black-pilled, but pretty much. But anyways, dude, well, Tom, this was fucking epic, dude.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna leave you with 3 movies. You turned me on to they clone Tyrone, which honestly I'm rewatching that again. It is epically hilarious, but it's so good. And there's so much disclosure. So there's 3 movies I want to make sure I get out that you need to see. But one is Insidious, and was a while back. But it's about the guy that's in prison, and he gets the attorney to come in because he's possessed by the devil. And what turned me on to that movie was this guy on this Instagram story was talking about Instagram reel talking about he can't believe they actually made that movie because they're telling you exactly how possessions work. You allow them in, and they always go after the ones that have lost souls, the ones that have given up. They don't believe in anything. Like me, I believe in something. It's just not necessarily what's in the book.
Don't be a nihilist. Yeah.
Yeah, so they go after the weak people and they possess their bodies because they will trick them to allow them in, these jinns, these demonic entities, and all you have to do is just extract them out. You know, you can just say you don't have the authority to be in me. You know, and we can get into that. The other one, they clone Tyrone. A lot of disclosure in that, dude, on cloning. That is a awesome one. That
and inner city gangbanger shit too. Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense because you don't ever look in these little poor towns or these little poor cities. No one pays attention to them. That's a good one. And then the last one we just saw last night. Now this one just came out. This was at the box office very shortly, but God, the amount of disclosure in this one is epic. It's called Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. Oh my God, dude. I'm watching that again tonight too. That and the number 47's in there a lot. There's a lot of really interesting things about how this matrix works, and we're actually in an AI. Yeah. And how AI is basically so what this premises is AI is actually the all-watching eye. And we're just AI in a carbon body that's tethered to a soul.
AI is going to be that damn eye above the pyramid on the back of our dollar bills.
We're
dollar bills, y'all, the currency that brings us all to death. I saw a post this morning that said somebody basically probably just created money so that we could fund people to die in war. And I'm like, holy shit, that's not spot on. Dude, well, Tom, this was epic. I got to go, brother. Yeah. But man, we're going to fucking do a part 2 pretty soon, man. I'd love to do another one.
All right, man.
All right, Stitt-Heads, peace out. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye. Dude, this was a lot of fun. This was a cool one.
Yeah. Well, we do another one, man. It was great.